So is a socialist revolution actually coming to America? Well, according to one source, it's already here, and you will not believe who's supposedly leading the charge. Let's get into it.
All right, buckle up, everyone. Comrades, the moment we've all apparently been waiting for has arrived. The glorious socialist revolution is upon us, right here in the good old US of A.
Yep, you heard that right. The means of production are being delivered directly to the proletariat. The workers are uniting. It's all happening.
And who is the great leader we have to thank for bringing this Marxist dream to life?
Donald Trump? No, that is not a typo. Believe it or not, the U.S. government is reportedly in talks to buy a 10% stake in the chip giant Intel. So what on earth is going on? To understand this, we gotta rewind. So, to really get how wild this whole situation is, we need to jump in the time machine for a sec.
Okay, picture it. The year is 2009. The entire U.S. auto industry is about to go off a cliff. So the Obama administration steps in with a massive bailout for General Motors. The reason? It was just too big to fail. And the price? The U.S. government basically became GM's biggest shareholder.
And we're not talking about a small slice of the pie here. We're talking a whopping 60%. For a little while there, one of America's most iconic companies was, for all intents and purposes, state-owned. This was a huge and super controversial move.
Back then, Republicans absolutely lost their minds over this deal. They were screaming socialism from the rooftops, calling it government overreach, and predicting that GM would totally collapse anyway.
But here's the kicker. It worked. The gamble paid off. GM paid back the money, got out of bankruptcy, and roared back to life. And that little history lesson sets the stage for everything that's happening today.
All right, hit fast forward and come back to the present, because it looks like history is repeating itself in a very, very weird way. Which brings us to our main event, Intel's newest and most powerful shareholder.
That's right, the government is getting back into the business of owning major corporations, and its new target isn't a car company, it's a titan of Silicon Valley, Intel.
Now look, it's not the 60% we saw with GM, but don't get it twisted. This is still a massive deal. A 10% stake makes the government a huge player inside one of the most important tech companies on the entire planet.
So why does a giant like Intel even need a government lifeline? Well, to put it simply, they're in a bit of a pickle. They're falling behind in the AI race, they're drowning in debt, and their big plan to build chips for other companies? Yeah, that's been losing billions.
And this, my friends, is where the story gets really juicy, because this deal creates a whole lot of irony and a whole lot of potential problems.
You might think, hey, the government helps a critical American company, and taxpayers get a piece of the action. It sounds like a win-win, right? Well, maybe not so fast.
Here's where things get fascinating. Remember all that outrage over the GM deal being socialism? Well, now that a similar deal is happening under a different administration, you could hear a pin drop. A lot of those same critical voices are strangely silent.
There are also some serious red flags here. Like, would the government be tempted to give fat contracts to a company it partly owns? And, unlike the Obama administration, which promised to sell its GM shares fast, there's no promise like that this time. That raises fears of a president's greasy fingers getting all up in the boardroom's business.
But hold on, because this might be about way more than just saving Intel. This could be the start of a much, much bigger strategy.
Yeah, don't think this is a one-off. When a top economic advisor was asked if we could expect more of these government buy-ins, the answer was basically, yep, Intel could just be the first domino to fall.
So what's the big idea here? The official justification is to build a sovereign wealth fund. It's basically a fancy term for a giant state-owned investment portfolio. The idea is that the public, that's you, gets a piece of the companies that get taxpayer money.
So, if this is just the beginning, where does it end? The source material we looked at leaves us with this witty and kind of chilling final thought.
And that leaves us with the big question. What is this, really? Is it a brilliant economic play to build up national wealth? Or is it a slippery slope toward a state-controlled economy?
We want to know what you think. Drop your take down in the comments. Is it smart economics or creeping socialism? Thanks for watching, and if you want more explainers that cut through the noise, you know what to do. Smash that like button and subscribe. We'll see you in the next one.